Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Checks and Balances TV. Today's program is entitled Goldman Sachs, another investment bank who appears to care more about their profits than their clients. So let's see how today's news may impact your financial future. Former executive director of Goldman Sachs, Greg Smith, recently shared with the world his negative experiences in working with his old firm through a controversial op-ed he recently wrote for the New York Times. On March 14th, Smith resigned from Goldman Sachs because of what he said was the company's lack of integrity, poor leadership, and bad corporate culture. He cited that the interest of the client continued to be sidelined in the way the firm operates and thinks about making money for itself. Okay, so what's really going on here? Let's check the facts using our checks and balances process. In the op-ed heard around the world, Greg Smith ended his 12-year tenure with the 143-year-old global investment banking firm Goldman Sachs. Smith served as an executive director and head of the firm's U.S. equity derivatives business in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. He published his damaging reasons for resigning in a letter written to the New York Times earlier this month. In his revealing account of the company's corporate environment, Smith disclosed that the firm does little to help its clients make money. Instead, Goldman operates in a manner that has its junior employees asking, "How much did that client make us today?" Smith attributes those types of questions as a clear reflection of what many employees are observing from their leaders. Smith blames the firm's senior leadership for the company's demise, naming CEO Lloyd Blankfein and President Gary D. Cohen for losing hold of the firm's original culture of always doing right by our clients. Smith believes it's this deep decline in the moral fiber of Goldman Sachs that represents the single most serious threat to the company's long-term survival. Smith disclosed that to rise in the hierarchy at Goldman Sachs and be put into a position of influence, an employee needed to merely make the firm enough money. As he said, it's no longer about ideas, setting an example, or doing the right thing. Today, if you make the firm enough money and are not currently an axe murderer, you will get promoted into a position of influence. Smith explained what he considers the 3 ways to become a leader at Goldman Sachs. Number 1 was to execute the firm's axes, meaning persuade your clients to invest in the stocks or other products that the firm is trying to get rid of. Or number 2, hunt elephants, as they call it, which means to get your clients to trade whatever will bring the biggest profit to Goldman. Or number 3, sit in a seat and trade any illiquid or opaque product with a 3-letter acronym. What's most damaging, though, is Smith's account of how the firm's managing directors refer to their own clients as Muppets. In Britain, where Mr. Smith spent the last 2 years of his 12-year employment, the term Muppet is slang for a stupid person. Okay, so now that we've checked the facts, let's balance this news using our checks and balances process to determine what action you should take today. Executives at Goldman Sachs reportedly said this op-ed article by Smith and the accusations that it entailed came as a surprise to the firm. While they were not contacted by the New York Times prior to the publishing of the op-ed piece, a spokesperson for the company later told the Times that they disagree with the views expressed and didn't think they were a true reflection of the way they run their business. In a letter released to the current and former employees of Goldman Sachs by its CEO Blankfein and President Cohen, they stated that Smith's assertions don't reflect the firm's values, culture, or how the vast majority of people at Goldman Sachs think about the firm and the work it does on behalf of all their clients. They continued by saying they are far from perfect, but where the firm has seen a problem, they've responded to it seriously and substantively. However, many of Goldman Sachs shareholders appeared to have sided with Smith, as shares dropped 3.4% the same day the letter ran, wiping out nearly $2.2 billion from its market value. While Smith's op-ed said the environment at Goldman Sachs is now as toxic and destructive as it has ever seen, it isn't the first damaging blow delivered to the investment bank. Just last month, a managing director for the firm was investigated as part of an insider trading scandal. This after Goldman paid more than $500 million in 2010 as a settlement for a fraud lawsuit with the Securities and Exchange Commission for their role in the 2008 financial meltdown. They were accused by Senator Carl Levin and the U.S. Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations for misleading clients by selling them the same investment the company was betting against. Oh, my goodness. In 2009, Rolling Stone magazine referred to the company as a great vampire squid due to its market manipulation and involvement in the biggest insider trading scandal ever on Wall Street. This, of course, is referring to a former board member of Goldman, Rajat Gupta, arrested for leaking inside information to Rajaratnam at the height of the financial crisis from 2008 to January of 2009. Rajaratnam was receiving inside information from Gupta before it was made public, so he could then buy or sell a company stock before the news hit the street, which ended up putting millions of dollars into his own back pocket. Okay, so what's the bottom line here? These too big to fail investment banks are really failing the American public. A company who builds its culture on corporate greed and disregards the value its clients play in its own success is disheartening. We've seen the same kind of client treatment from Charles Schwab and Bank of America in recent years. And who can forget about these same big banks paying out large corporate bonuses to their executives after they received a boatload of money in the form of a government bailout a few years ago. It seems as if these big banks are all about helping themselves instead of the people who entrust them with their money. And while Greg Smith was certainly a disgruntled ex-employee when he wrote his op-ed for the New York Times, his message has been heard loud and clear. Some of these wealthy bank executives are morally bankrupt, and if their goals aren't in your best interest, then their firm is no place for your money. As you heard me say before, find yourself a true financial professional, one who is held to a fiduciary role and must always put your best interest first. And now for Matt's weekly financial tip, tool, or technique. Goldman Sachs has been accused of selling investments that were not in the best interest of their clients. To protect your investments from the manipulators and deceivers out there, here are 3 tips to help you recognize a potential red flag when considering where to invest your hard-earned dollars. Number 1. Compare similar financial products before making a decision. Greg Smith revealed how Goldman Sachs would unload unprofitable products to its clients or get them to invest in areas where Goldman made the most money. Before buying any investment product, shop around and see what other firms or banks are offering that may be similar. By knowing how the competition stacks up, you will be in a better position to make an informed financial decision. Tip number 2, be proactive, not reactive. Ask questions and get involved in the investment process. And if you feel like your investment professional is being evasive or is trying to sell you a complicated product, leave it on the table. You don't have to say yes to an investment just because it's recommended by your current financial professional. And number 3 is stay away from investing in these hot tips, hot deals, as they say. Always find out if there is any historical history or information associated with the product or company you're considering investing in. And if you can't find adequate information about the investment or the company, contact the Attorney General's office in your state and ask whether or not they know anything about your potential investment or the company selling it. They should also be able to tell you whether the company is or has ever been under investigation for selling any financial product. So stay in control of your investment strategy. It's your money, and you should not have to worry about paying the price for someone else's corporate greed. Be sure to log on to our website and download our featured report, The Truth About Investment Fees, Loads, and Charges. A free report that gives you the inside information on what you're really paying on many of today's popular financial products. And finally, remember that only you can control your financial future. You can succeed. You just need confidence and determination. I'm Matthew J. Reddick from Checks and Balances TV. Until next week, dump debt, invest wisely, believe in yourself, and make it happen.